Wait, before you scroll past this, you need to hear what we're about to reveal, because what's happening right now in America might not be coincidence. It might be prophecy. For centuries, scholars and believers have studied ancient biblical texts, prophecies so specific, so detailed, that they describe events thousands of years before they happened. But here's what most people don't know. Many experts believe we're living through one of those prophecies today, and the implications will shake everything you thought you understood about current events. This is not about politics. This is about history. This is about patterns written 2,000 years ago that are unfolding in real time before our eyes. And whether you believe or not, the parallels are undeniable. The evidence is overwhelming. And frankly, it's terrifying how accurate they are. In this video, we're breaking down the ancient prophecies that theologians say predict Trump's movement. We're showing you the exact scriptures. We're revealing the historical parallels that experts have identified, and we're asking the question everyone's afraid to ask. Is this really just coincidence? Or are we witnessing biblical prophecy fulfill itself in 2025? If you've ever felt like something massive is happening, something you can't quite put your finger on, something that doesn't add up with mainstream media narratives, then you absolutely need to watch this video until the very end. Because the connection between ancient scripture and current events is about to become crystal clear. So if you're ready to see what they don't want you to see, if you're ready to connect the dots that mainstream media refuses to acknowledge, then hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because videos like this don't stay up for long. Let's go. The prophecies we're about to discuss come from some of the most analyzed and debated texts in human history: Jeremiah, Daniel, Revelation, books that have puzzled scholars for millennia. But what if those puzzles are finally coming together? What if we're the generation witnessing their completion? Ancient prophets spoke of a leader who would rise, a man who would come from outside the traditional political establishment, a man of strength and conviction, a man who would stand against powerful forces arrayed against him. A man the media and elites would attack relentlessly, yet who would somehow persist. Someone chosen, some say, for a greater purpose. Now, theologians and biblical scholars have identified striking parallels between these ancient prophecies and the rise of Donald Trump. We're not saying Trump is the Messiah. That's not what this is about. What we are saying is that the pattern of events described in Scripture appears to be repeating itself right now, and that's what you need to understand. The Bible speaks of a time of great upheaval, a time when nations would be divided, when truth would be attacked and distorted, when those seeking to expose corruption would be persecuted and mocked, when the establishment would unite against a single figure. Does any of this sound familiar? In 2016, a political outsider emerged from the private sector. Against all odds, against the media, against the established political machine, he won. And in the years that followed, the attacks intensified. The persecution grew stronger, yet his movement only expanded, his supporters only multiplied. Theologians point to this as a fulfillment of biblical patterns, a sign, a warning, a message encoded in ancient text, now playing out on the world stage. Let's talk about the prophecy of Cyrus in Isaiah 45. This is one of the most compelling parallels that scholars are discussing right now. The text describes a leader, not necessarily a man of faith, but a man chosen by God for a specific purpose. A leader who would challenge the establishment, who would face opposition, but who would ultimately fulfill a divine purpose. In Isaiah 45, God speaks about Cyrus, a Persian king who lived 2,500 years ago. But here's what's fascinating. Cyrus was not a religious man. He was not a prophet. He was a military and political leader. Yet God chose him to accomplish his purpose, to free the captives, to restore what was broken. and the Bible explicitly states that God would go before him and prepare the way. Many biblical experts have drawn direct parallels between this ancient prophecy about Cyrus and modern-day political movements. They point out that Trump, like Cyrus, came from outside the traditional religious establishment. Like Cyrus, he faced overwhelming opposition. Like Cyrus, his supporters believed he was chosen for a specific purpose: to drain the swamp, to expose corruption, to restore what they saw as a broken system. But it goes much deeper than that. The signs are everywhere if you know where to look. The division of nations, the attacks on free speech, the corruption being exposed, the spiritual warfare happening in real time. Ancient prophecies describe all of this in stunning detail. In Matthew 24, Jesus described the end times. He spoke of wars and rumors of wars, of nation rising against nation, of deception and false information spreading across the earth, of signs in the heavens and on the earth. We're seeing all of this right now. The polarization, the misinformation campaigns, the manipulation of truth by those in power. Daniel chapter 12 speaks of a time when knowledge would increase and people would run to and fro. This is describing the internet age, historians say, a time when information travels instantly around the globe, a time when ordinary people can access knowledge that was once controlled by the elite. We're living in that exact moment. Revelation speaks of a great spiritual battle, a clash between light and darkness, between truth and deception, between those seeking control and those seeking freedom. Theologians argue that we're witnessing this spiritual war play out in the political realm right now. The battle for the soul of nations, the struggle between the old world order and a new awakening. And here's what's truly remarkable. These prophecies were written when such events seemed impossible. How could ancient prophets have known about mass media, about global communications, about the exact political dynamics we see today? Unless they were seeing something we're only now beginning to understand, unless they were witnessing events across time itself. Some scholars point to the specificity of biblical prophecy as evidence of divine inspiration. How could human beings, without access to modern technology or knowledge of future events, write with such accuracy about what would happen thousands of years later? The answer, they argue, is that these were not merely human writings. These were messages from beyond time itself. The prophet Jeremiah spoke of a time when the people would be deceived by false leaders and corrupt institutions, when the truth would be suppressed, when those speaking truth would be persecuted, when righteousness would seem to be losing. But Jeremiah also prophesied that there would be a restoration, an awakening, a time when truth would emerge from the darkness. In Ephesians 6, Paul writes about spiritual warfare. He describes the battle between flesh and blood, but more importantly, against principalities and powers, against the rulers of darkness in this age. He describes a spiritual conflict happening beneath the surface of political and social movements. Many theologians believe this is exactly what we're witnessing today, a spiritual awakening rising up against systems of control and deception. The Trump movement, supporters argue, represents this awakening, a grassroots movement that defies conventional political wisdom, a movement that refuses to be silenced despite overwhelming opposition from mainstream media, academia, and the political establishment. A movement that speaks of draining swamps, exposing corruption, and returning power to the people. Whether you support Trump or not, you cannot deny the pattern. You cannot deny that something unprecedented is happening. A political outsider with no experience in government becoming president, then losing in a contested election, then rising again, seemingly defying all political gravity. It's like watching a biblical narrative play out in real time. Consider the numbers. In 2016, Trump won the presidency despite losing the popular vote and facing opposition from virtually every establishment institution. against all odds. In 2024, despite facing indictments, media attacks, and predictions of defeat, his movement returned to power. The historical probability of this occurring twice is astronomically low. Some would say it defies natural explanation. Theologians point to Psalm 91, which speaks of divine protection, of being hidden under God's wings, of protection from arrows that fly by day and terrors that come by night. Many Trump supporters see these verses as describing their leader's protection through countless investigations, accusations, and attacks, all of which failed to remove him from the political stage. There's also the matter of timing. Biblical scholars note that prophecies often cluster around specific time periods. The Old Testament prophets predicted the coming of Jesus with remarkable precision. The time, the place, the manner of his birth, his death, his resurrection. Some scholars believe we're in another prophetic cluster now, a time when multiple prophecies are converging and reaching culmination. The Great Awakening is a term gaining traction among Christian communities. It refers to a spiritual and political revival, a time when truth emerges, when corruption is exposed, when the people rise up against systems of control. And many believe that Trump's movement is at the center of this awakening. But what exactly is being awakened? Supporters say it's the consciousness of ordinary people. It's the realization that the systems they trusted have been corrupted. It's the understanding that the media they relied on has been manipulating them. It's the acknowledgement that their freedoms have been eroded. And it's the determination to reclaim their country and their future. This awakening transcends politics. It's spiritual. It's about choosing between light and darkness, between truth and lies, between freedom and control, between the old world and the new world being born. The signs are literally written in the scriptures if you know where to look. The specificity of biblical prophecy, combined with the precision of current events, is what's causing theologians and scholars to openly discuss the possibility that we're living in a prophetic time. In 1 Thessalonians, Paul speaks of the great day of the Lord. He speaks of a sudden awakening, of the elect being chosen, of a time when the truth will be revealed. Many believe we're in that exact season right now. And here's what you need to understand. Whether you believe in prophecy or not, the patterns are undeniable. The connections are real. The parallels between ancient scripture and modern events are too specific to be coincidence, too detailed to be accident, too profound to be ignored. This is why this information is so dangerous to those in power. This is why mainstream media refuses to discuss these connections. Because if people understand that what's happening is part of a larger, divinely orchestrated plan, then they stop living in fear. They stop doubting. They stop hesitating. Instead, they act with conviction. They speak truth with boldness. They support the movement they believe in despite opposition. They trust that there's a greater purpose at work. And that is what threatens the old order. That is why you're seeing unprecedented attacks on Trump and his supporters. That is why the media works overtime to discredit anyone discussing prophecy or spiritual warfare. Because once people understand the bigger picture, once they see the divine pattern, they become unstoppable. This is also why we're seeing such intense division in society. Because spiritual warfare always manifests as social and political conflict. When light is rising, darkness fights back harder. When truth is emerging, lies intensify. When awakening is happening, the powers of the old order mobilize their greatest resources to stop it. But here's the truth that the establishment does not want you to know. According to biblical prophecy, awakening cannot be stopped. The plan cannot be derailed. The prophecies will be fulfilled. And all the opposition, all the attacks, all the lies, they're ultimately futile against a movement ordained by something greater than human power. This is the real story behind Trump's movement. This is why his supporters seem unshakable despite the opposition. This is why his movement keeps growing. This is why he keeps returning, despite everyone saying it was finished. Because they understand, on some level, that this is bigger than one man. This is bigger than one election. This is about the fulfillment of ancient prophecy. Whether you believe this or not, whether you support Trump or oppose him, one thing is certain: we're living through unprecedented times. We're witnessing events that defy historical patterns. We're seeing a movement that refuses to die. We're watching as traditional power structures crumble and new forces rise to prominence. And if even a fraction of what biblical scholars are saying is true, if we really are witnessing the fulfillment of ancient prophecy, then what we do right now matters more than ever. What we believe right now shapes the future. What we speak right now echoes through eternity. This is the moment. This is the time. This is the awakening. If this video has resonated with you, if you feel the truth of these words deep in your spirit, then I need you to take action right now. First, subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications, because we're bringing you this kind of uncensored, truth-seeking content regularly. Videos that mainstream media won't touch. Analysis that the establishment wants suppressed. Second, comment below. Tell us what you think. Do you see the prophecy unfolding? Have you noticed these patterns? What signs have you personally witnessed? Your perspective matters. Your voice matters. This is a conversation we need to have as a community. Third, share this video. Send it to people you know who are searching for answers. People who feel that something massive is happening but don't have the context to understand it. People who've been called crazy for seeing the bigger picture. Be a messenger of truth. Spread this information. Change minds. Awaken consciousness. And fourth, stay vigilant. Stay informed. Keep researching. Keep connecting dots. Keep asking questions that others are afraid to ask. Because the establishment doesn't want you thinking critically about these connections. They don't want you understanding the spiritual dimensions of what's happening. They want you confused, divided, and controlled. But you're awake now. You've seen the evidence. You've heard the parallels. You understand that this is about something much bigger than politics. It's about prophecy. It's about awakening. It's about the future of human freedom. At the end of the day, history will remember two kinds of people: those who saw the signs and spoke up, and those who stayed silent. Those who shared the truth and awakened others, and those who remained trapped in the system's narrative. Those who understood that we're living through a prophetic time, and those who dismissed it. Which one will you be? The choice is yours, but make it now. Because the time for sitting on the sidelines is over. The time for silence is finished. The time for action has come. We're at a crossroads. The old world is dying. A new world is being born. And whether that new world is one of freedom or control, of truth or deception, depends on what you do in this moment. Thank you for watching this entire video. Thank you for seeking truth. Thank you for having the courage to consider perspectives that challenge the mainstream narrative. And thank you for being part of this awakening. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to share. Because the awakening depends on people like you, people willing to think critically, to ask tough questions, and to spread truth. We'll see you in the next video. Stay awake, stay vigilant. And remember, prophecy is unfolding right now. The question is, are you paying attention